T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, coolest reptile network in the world. Welcome to episode 466, All in the Tree Tuesdays. I'm your boy MJ. What is good, everybody? Shout out to my green tree python lovers out there. Hey, shout out to my blue chondro lovers out there because we have quite an episode in store for everyone out there. I'm your boy MJ, though. What is up? If this is your first time hanging out with us, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, select all. You'll be on top of every single podcast I drop here on this network. You can listen to Trap Talk Reptile Network on all the major audio platforms first and foremost, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple, all the major ones. So if you're not a YouTube person, go listen to the audios. And thank you for wherever you listen to this network, whichever segment you love on this network. Thank you for listening and giving the guest and the host a time of day. Just really means a lot. Been loving the growth lately with everything, and just thank you, man. And thank you for spending your life with me. This has been amazing, and we're just getting started. So, but listen, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to tap in more than what you see, if you want to just kind of just network yourself with some of the best people doing it, I'm talking about people who are coming up in the game, already come up in the game, and OGs in the game, a part of the Trap Talk Patreon family. That's right. Go to the very first link in the description below. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord, which connects you to over 200 trappers, also connects you to the Instagram group chat as well. Shout out to my Patreon members, man. I love you guys. Trap Fest 2024 is going down. Quite the list already as far as who's coming. It's going to be epic. So more details to come to the Patreon community page. So go join, man, and be ready for that invite. It's going to be fun, and I cannot wait to see all my returning trappers coming to Trap Fest. But yes, first and foremost, guys, support US ARC. Second link in the description. Click on it. Become a US ARC member today. Let's get these numbers up. If you don't know what US ARC is, read all about it, man. It's important. If you're a reptile keeper, you must become a US ARC member just because it makes that much sense. All right. A lot of you guys out there not supporting US ARC, and it just doesn't cost a lot. Like bronze membership isn't shit. Let's be real. And it's $5 a month. So let's go. Come on. Doesn't take much. And don't be shy as far as what level you're coming in at. I'll tell you right now, there's people who aren't even doing anything. So anything matters. It looks good. Anything you do makes you look good. All right. Phil Goss, thank you for everything you do. Shout out to the entire US ARC family. Tonight's episode is brought to you by one of my favorite guys in the industry for sure, Gary Shavino over at GS Reptiles. Please go get him to 10K now. He needs to have 10,000 subscribers. This is a 100K subscribe type channel. Like this channel is no joke when it comes to gaining amazing knowledge working with the boreal species in the reptiles games, but just other cool stuff too. Savu pythons, ball pythons as well. I don't even know why I said that, but whatever. You know, he's just known for so much. And thank you, Gary, for your support. Please go follow Gary Shavino at GS Reptiles on Instagram. And again, his YouTube is on fire. So much gold on there. Go back to his very first YouTube videos. If you have not subscribed to this guy's channel, just watch everything. Watch everything from Gary Shavino Reptiles, GS Reptiles. I'm telling you right now, thank me later. Appreciate you, big dog. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by the Reptile Perch. Shout out to David Brahms. Everything you see behind me in my Focus Cube habitats are my boreal snakes sitting on a PVC design perch by the Reptile Perch. Thank you so much, David Brahms. Also, he has amazing purchase for rack systems as well. Also for Cambro tubs. All my Cambro tubs has the Reptile Perch design purchase in there. So David Brahms, the man. Hit him up. Go to his website or just go to his Instagram. Hit him up personally. Let him know the trap sent you. He'll take extra good care of you. Appreciate you, David Brahms. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Blake Exotic Feeders. Step up. Feed your reptiles something diverse and something top-notch. Quail, baby. Quail is that, dude. I'm just saying, quail's the shit. I'm loving it. And I'm loving the way it comes out of my reptiles too. It's not disgusting. It's actually a formed, complete turd. And that is a good sign to me. All right. Straight up. I know a lot of people had issues feeding chicks and whatnot to the reptiles, and it's a bloody mess. But dude, quail, good quality quail, organically home raised by my buddy Blake over at Blake Exotic Feeders. Dude, tap in. Okay. Head over to his Instagram, Blake Exotic Feeders. go to his website, but I personally would go to his Instagram and hit him up personally on his Instagram, Blake Exotic Feeders. Let him know the trap sent you. He'll take care of you extra on the shipping, all sorts of stuff. He's taking care of all the trappers right now. So appreciate you, Blake. Last but not least, shout out to the Reptile Super Show, #1 show in the country. Shout out to Rami, who's been throwing the Reptile Super Shows for a decade now and just killing it. This dude is just doing next level stuff when it comes to bringing people together to make the love of reptiles grow in this world. So thank you, Rami. Appreciate you so much. Rami is also partnering up with somebody who is bringing something new. I would say newer. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm really excited with this, mainly because who's going to be discussing this right now for us is going to be someone who's going to be attending this, one of the speakers. And this is an event called the Reptile Talks, happening May 17th through the 19th in Anaheim, California. One of the speakers being my man, the mayor of Chondro Town, Bill Stiegel. And Bill's here to break a little bit down as far as what's to look forward to when it comes to this event that he's going to be speaking to. But first and foremost, Bill, how you doing, buddy?
I'm glad to be back. Missed you, man.
Miss you too. You're always missed. I feel like it's kind of like you make the people want you more, the fact that you miss a week every now and again. So I don't know if you're doing that on purpose, but it's working.
Well, maybe I should miss a few more then.
No, chill.
Hey,
dude, yeah. What do you have to say, bro?
Man, thanks for taking just a minute to. I've started kind of promoting this a little bit on social media. This is happening in your neck of the woods,
Yes.
Anaheim, California.
Yep.
As you mentioned, it's an event called the Reptile Talks. It's a 3-day event, Monday through Sunday. And basically, it's an event that's being put together solely for the benefit of USARK. So all proceeds will go to USARK. And it's really just an inclusive event that's meant to inspire and bring the hobbyists back together. You know, we could use that right now, I think. So it's going to be a broad topic. There's going to be many things discussed, all sorts of amphibians, reptiles, not including ball pythons and crested geckos. I know that's going to shatter your heart, but almost every other reptile or amphibian will be touched on there.
Wait, whose heart? My heart, or are you talking the general public? What are you talking about? I'm okay.
Your heart, because you keep them both, you know. So
I know, but so do you.
So do I. But,
No, I think it's refreshing, just so you know. I mean, this is going to be great.
I think it's going to be really good. So this thing is put on by 3 guys. Jay Summers, who I just met at the last Tinley in Chicago. Your boy Rami from the Super Show and sponsor of the Trap. He's putting it on. And then Armin from Herp Time.
Armin's my dog. Shout out to Armin.
You know, those 3 guys are putting this event on.
Cool.
Like you mentioned, I'm going to be talking about green trees. Sock is going to cover emeralds. Jay's going to be talking about some rare species that may or may not be around here in the upcoming short term. You got my friend, Dr. Scott Stahl. I don't know if you've ever met Scott, but he's really the premier reptile or one of the premier reptile vets in the country. This guy's a dynamic speaker. He sees and treats everything. So I can't wait to hear his talk. You got Chad Brown from Ship Your Reptiles.
Yeah.
He's gonna talk about the early days of reptile shipping and how it kind of changed the face. It changed the game for the reptile community when we could put these things in boxes and send them across the country. So
yeah, John from Sim Container. That's gonna be sick.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Phil Goss, of course. And he'll be speaking about some of the important events that's going on with USARK. So awesome. This event is right around the corner. Like you said, May 17th through 19th. Try to get there if you can. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping that this will kind of be an event like the ICAST was almost a decade ago now. The Arboreal Symposium that happened in Maryland. It was a 3-day event with kind of dynamic and well-known speakers, and it really changed the game in keeping arboreal species. So I'm hoping this turns into something like that.
Yeah, so I'll put the link to the website in the description below, and that way you can read up about it. But if you're in SoCal area, I think it's a no-brainer. You should definitely pull up, especially because you're going to be able to meet people coming from all over the country. Like Sock is coming from Florida. Bill's returning from Texas. Like, it's going to be next level. We got John coming from the East Coast. So it's going to be cool. I can't wait. And good things. Also, too, the biggest thing about anyone attending anything that's profited from this event goes to USARK. which I think is very important to say.
Yeah, and if you want to be a sponsor of the event, there's going to be a written magazine that's going to come along with the event. MJ, I sent you my blurb today. Just a one-page thing about green trees. If you want to advertise the event, you can do so, really for relatively low cost. It'll be in a printed magazine. It'll be at this expo. So if you're interested in that, touch base with me, and I'll put you along to the right people. All
right. Now, what's the call on this guy's fucking internet right now? You think he's Wi-Fi or not? No Wi-Fi? What's happening? What's our prediction on Marshall and his connection?
I've got a very good feeling about it. Very
there
good.
He is,
as you should. As you should.
Yes,
why would you think any differently?
Because dude, you
doubt, man.
I guarantee you're like, man, I really believe in my Wi-Fi today, and I just thought maybe you would want to go ahead and try it randomly. I don't know. Just depends.
I mean, I almost did. I was in the house by myself. My kids weren't eating it up, but I knew you'd get mad, so I just put it on. Shut it off.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for being here, Marshall. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Just busy night, running around trying to get a bunch of snakes fed before this.
Is this your busiest time of year, you think, with the animals, the kids, and everything? You would say?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, still got a bunch of babies from last year, and both kids are just wide open sports. It's like 3-4 nights a week for that. So yeah, it's busy as shit.
Yeah,
I remember those days, and MJ, you have them to look forward to.
That's right.
I can't wait, but man, my dad went through all this, and it was like the best. Me and my dad are best friends. We just always done, shit like this, and I know you're gonna cherish these days for sure, Marshall. Because your boy's a junior going into his senior year now, or right? He has one more year after this.
That's right. Yeah, he's a junior, and my daughter will be a freshman next year.
Wow, that's scary. Dude, all right. Well, listen, we got someone who likes to make blue green tree pythons coming back. The homie Garik, House of Blue. There's some actual history being talked about tonight because most recently this guy made his very first yellow neonate.
Oh God, time to kill off the whole collection.
From what I understand, he's fucking cashing in and everything's being sold there's rumors. I don't know, but I heard now that he visually saw it, he's just, there's nothing more to live. He's going, I guess. I don't know. We could confirm it with him. I hope that's not true. But I'm curious as far as where this yellow neonate came from, if he really knew that he was going to have a yellow, if it was like a random thing, but lots to tap into tonight. So have you talked to Garrett yet, Marshall? I know Bill has, but
I don't think so. I don't think I have.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I love meeting people. I love meeting my homie, like introducing my homies to new people. This is great. Bill, you know.
Yeah, I've known him for a lot. I've known him on social media for a long time, but I don't think we've ever talked.
Cool.
Yeah, MJ, we did an episode, right? Was it?
Yep. Yeah, it was a big one. It was the I think it was the big Chondro episode I did. I think it was Friendsgiving. That's what it was. It was Trapsgiving. It was Trapsgiving.
Trapsgiving.
Yeah. You hung out for a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, great to catch up with him tonight. It's gonna be awesome. And if you're in the live chats tonight, shout out to everyone who's tapped in. Drop a super chat if you have a question or a topic. Show some love. But are you guys ready to bring Garik on? I'm ready to get this thing started.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, it's that time. Do what you got to do to get your mind right. Do what you got to do to get hydrated. Episode 466. The homie Garik from the House of Blue coming at you right now. Let's go. Cheers.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crowd, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it.
And we're live, episode 466. My man Garik from the House of Yellow. I mean, the House of Blue. I'm sorry.
What's up, Trap Fam?
What's up, my
Garik,
man?
what's up, man?
Garik. Oh, now I remember Garik because he's sitting on the throne.
That big throne right
That's
there.
right.
Now I remember.
What's
Oh,
going
yeah.
on, dog?
Interview spot.
Nice.
Hey, wait, how many of those do you have at the table? Is there like multiple of those?
Yeah, there's a second one here.
Damn, I would just love eating dinner there. That would just be epic. Damn. Hey, so this is your first time meeting Marshall personally like this, right?
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I think so. Yeah, likewise.
This is epic.
Looking
bro.
forward to it.
Well,
Yeah.
this might be my farewell. As you guys know, I produced the Yellow. So
Yeah.
this is
Just gonna hang it up, huh?
the rise and fall of an empire.
Well, I love that you get, with all this yellow and red talk that's been happening for months now, I would want to say, you haven't really gave anyone any kind of heads up that you possibly might have a yellow neonate coming. So let me ask you, where did this yellow neonate come from? What was the pairing? Was it a Chronos baby? Like what's going on? Where did this yellow arise from?
All right, so on the bright side, it's not related to Chronos or Blue Moon. It was a pairing, a wild caught pairing, a poultry type animal, so like Monoquari, Sarong, a red,
Okay.
to a red Cyclops, or rather Uterensis type.
Okay.
As you guys also know, having wild caughts that are red dominant is very rare. It doesn't typically happen. So I knew there was a good chance that neither of them would be red dominant, but it was a bit slap in the face when the first baby born is a yellow. That one I wasn't expecting.
Because they're the stronger of the two. Is that what you said?
Am I allowed to share the video?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Now, because, and I'm going to share, I thought I was seeing things because it's like kind of funny how at the timing, everything happening is right on your episode, right?
On my birthday. It happened on my birthday.
Today's your birthday? Today's your birthday?
No, Sunday. They started hatching a nice little yellow baby poking its head out.
Happy belated, my man.
Thank you.
But yeah, let's check this out. Let me see. Oh, can I not play it? Oh, I don't think I can play it like that. But we could see the yellow neonate from here.
It looks strong.
Yeah. So this was the first one out of the egg. We're looking at a yellow neonate, first one out of the egg, and I could definitely see more yellows. Definitely. Have you seen the total yellow count? Total how many yellows so far?
As you know, I cut my eggs, so I got 6 out of 18 yellows.
Well, I mean, that's not the end of the world.
No. I honestly, I'm just playing around for the most part. I really don't care.
Yeah.
And these are your first yellows ever?
Ever.
Yeah. So I mean, the males I was using before, like Chronos and Blue Moon, Chronos I've proven as a red dominant. Blue Moon I'm pretty sure is a red dominant. So I haven't produced any yellows before from them. This was a new male, completely unrelated to anything. And the whole point of that pairing was for genetic diversity. Later down the line, I kind of don't want to be bred into a corner with just my
Same shit.
Minas and Monoquaries. I wanted kind of a Highland cross separate line to breed into later.
So this, in your eyes, this is the way to start a new project, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet. So,
I mean, yeah, but it's cool that let me slow down though. So the Cyclops was what gave you the yellow, no? Or
no, both of them have it. I mean,
They both have to.
but they were both red babies.
Yeah, I drew out a chart for you guys. This is assuming that this is a double allele. I don't know if I'm saying it right. A double allele controlled gene, the red versus yellow. This is what that chart would look like, because I know there's it's mirrored.
I've seen it. No, we could see it.
Yeah, so essentially 1 out of 4, if both reds are just regular reds, would be yellow. I got 1 out of 3, so I've outperformed.
Crush the odds.
Yeah,
Crushed them.
a friend of mine actually, Matt from Evolution Exotics, he said call them limited edition. Let's hit him with that market.
There you go.
You could easily flip the script right now with that if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, yellows can definitely produce true blues. Super blues too.
I'm surprised Mark Hager isn't on your fucking bumper calling you like, hey man, let's do like an alliance. We need you. But the real question is, what are you gonna do with these yellows? Are you gonna keep them?
No.
Are they getting the boot? What's going on?
They're getting the boot. They're getting the boot, and they're going to be less than half of what the reds would be. So
Yeah,
probably just $1,000 to $1,500.
that's awesome. I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're just keeping it real. You have no need for them. But hold on, even though you're letting go of the yellows, these reds are going to be still het for yellow, right? So
yeah.
So you're going to be very careful then where these go. Even the red holdbacks, are you going to be very careful where you pair them to, or what's going on?
So yes, the reds, they run 1 out of 3 chance. Again, if you're assuming that it's a double allele controlled gene, I hope I'm saying that right.
Well,
You're running a 1 out of 3 chance of having it be a red dominant.
Right.
But in actuality, I don't think that makes too big of a difference when you're going to pair it to known red dominants. And again, it depends what you're trying to produce, in my opinion. As you know, a lot of this is theory, like what yellow can produce, what red can produce. I mean, there's consistent patterns and things like that. And it's not to say yellows aren't pretty. It's just, in my opinion, they're not very useful for producing true blues. Again, they can very easily produce some really beautiful stuff like strong blue stripes, some crazy beautiful hormonal snakes. You know, I mean, we've even seen them produce black when they've been inbred, like the melanism and everything. And they're also very good when you're doing pure pairings, in my opinion. You know, like if you're going to do, let's say, a yellow monoquarry to a red monoquarry, oftentimes you might not even see that it keeps the potency back, you know, because I guess the genes are similar and they're pure locality, you know, pairings. But for what I'm trying to do, I don't think it'll be very much help.
So you're saying that yellow has no relevance going to a Chronos baby or anyways, because it's the red's going to dominate it regardless. There will be no yellow to be produced from that.
Well, right? My theory is at best it wouldn't hold anything back, but I mean, typically I do think of it if the goal is blue, like a true blue look, or even one day what you guys call a super blue. No, I don't think that yellow is going to really help towards that. I think that would be a generational kind of setback. And I think it's pretty straightforward from the way I see it. You know, and I also think it also doesn't help with the fantastic changes that you sometimes see with these red babies. You know, they go through very wicked OCCs oftentimes. So, I mean, yellows.
I agree. It's hard to beat a red color change. I mean, yellows look beautiful and can turn into some incredibly beautiful adults. And I can even see people say, especially people that don't know green trees, most people will pick a yellow baby over a red.
Right. Bill, you say that, and that's true, right? But how long until that person gets to fucking all of a sudden like, yeah, I'd rather invest into a red, though? Like when it comes to someone who's paying attention after a while, it easily switches over to, I want a dark red. Especially go ahead, Bill.
Well, my point is just the color change. The ontogenic color change is more, in my opinion, more dramatic in reds than yellows.
Yeah.
Or it can be.
I think typically that's a fact. I mean, as patterns go, again, there are outliers. We've all seen them, but typically these reds go through, and it's evolutionary too, I'm pretty sure. You know, there's an evolutionary reason for it. I mean, we pretty much know, I guess, or rather we theorize that it started with reds, right? Green trees, emeralds, the divergence, all of that. And eventually somewhere along the way, yellows, that recessive gene was introduced as an evolutionary advantage to changing to green faster. I mean, that's essentially what it is. It changes much faster and with less of a dramatic change, probably making them less likely to get, I don't know, attacked in the wild by some bird or something, to get spotted. So, I mean, it just, from A to B, it goes, I guess it's just the natural way you would think. You wouldn't use that for, I guess, an extreme change. Sorry, I'm kind of blanking on the words right now, but I think you guys are kind of following what I'm saying, right?
I get your point for sure. And I don't know if you've heard our good friend Ryan Young talk. I think he agrees a lot with your theory that these green treats came from brown snakes that were on the ground, and it's a natural evolution for the babies, to start red, and then something happened and the baby started turning yellow. But Ryan's theory is that eventually, if we just extrapolate this out to the millennium or whatever, that all green tree babies will be yellow because that is an advantage over red in the world.
Ryan,
biology works like that.
well, I don't know how Ryan Young works. Period. I think his brain's full of fucking shit. I don't know why he has such a goddamn tiff with these red neonates that just crush yellows when it comes to really looking at insane OCCs and whatnot. Like, I get it. The wild's an amazing place, but we're not in the wild no more, Ryan. Let's keep it real, buddy. We're here trading Pokemon cards now. You feel me?
Well, because he was on an episode, so I'm
just kidding. I love Ryan. Ryan's amazing. He's one of the
maybe with human intervention too, because if they know over there how much more we pay for reds than yellows, I'm pretty sure they would start collecting reds and start upcharging. In which case, yeah, it could be possible. But any group needs some sort of diversity to survive, and if it's made it this long with just reds, I think it would continue naturally on its own. I mean, there's a reason why emeralds are still red in the wild. So,
but here's the thing. I mean, and Bill will know this for sure because he's had Jaeger throw out some insane looking yellows, and even Mark Hager has shown proof that yellows could be something that could be considered top tier easily. So. It's just not common though. That's what I'm saying. Like if we were to throw, how many of these black looking yellow neonates are we getting compared to how many of the reds are throwing? It's like it's no comparison.
It's a tiny percentage.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But also like to Mark's defense, he likes to say, well, you got to give it more time, right? But I mean, even if you give it time, like look where the reds are just becoming more blacker and like purple. Like at what point do you feel like we're gonna finally hit an all black green tree python? Like I'm talking as an adult. Like how far are we from actually hitting that? We're a lot closer to hitting that than the yellows are. I can tell you that much. I don't want to say where. I hate to say that I'm trying to team things. I'm sorry. Like I do like yellows too. I'm sorry. I'm just saying if we were to say how much heat that we could write on a list that the reds have done compared to yellows, like Marshall said, yellows list would be very tiny compared to reds. So
it depends what for. I mean, depends what your goal is, right? I mean,
I'm talking about like just playing off visual, like nothing, not about the lineage. Like just I want to make the craziest looking animal. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've seen some insane high yellow animals that have stemmed from yellow. I mean, some stuff that you would never pick over a red baby. Just pure golden or banana yellow as an adult, and those are from yellow babies.
Or some beautiful, like what they call tricolor, it's awesome yellow, green, and blue, just an awesome mix. I mean, I think those animals look freaking awesome. But it depends, like you said, it depends what you're going for.
Yeah,
it depends, on your look.
And they say it for blue too. I'm sure you guys have all heard it too. That nobody has focused in on it, and I have very good friends that say that too, and it very well could be true, but then again, very many people also have focused in on it. And I mean, how often do you see or ever true blue from yellow neos that aren't UV burned or have some sort of hormonal influence to them? I mean, have you guys seen it?
I've seen it in a ruse, and a rue can be, even before they go hormonal, they can be, I mean, they're not going to be like a solid true blue or a super blue, but they have they have a lot of blue. And it's really bright. It's nice. If you could take the blue from a yellow and put it on the whole snake, it would, maybe be better than a blue that came from a red neonate. But you just don't see them like, other than the hormonal blues, which, a hormonal blue female that's gone through a couple of pregnancies can be amazing. Yeah, be amazing.
I don't think blue saddling is enough to say that's necessarily a great marker for producing true blues. And I've seen them with massive blue markings, but again, I don't know if that's enough to produce like a salt. That's a hormonal snake you're showing.
That's fucking blue.
That's hormonal. I'm not taking credit for that.
Shit. But Marshall said, okay, how old is this snake?
I don't know. It was wild caught.
But how big was it big when you got it in? Was it already an adult?
No, it was a sub. Before laying, she was 1,150 grams. I want to say.
How long did you get her, Garik?
Like a couple years ago.
So she's probably not even 6. She's probably 5 years old, maybe.
There's no way to know. I mean, you can see adult animals that come in at like 400, 300 grams. Like from the wild, you can see. I mean, you don't really see it anymore, but you hear stories of back then when it came in at like 600 to 1,000.
Right.
But now
this is her first. This is her first clutch with you.
Yeah, it was the first clutch. That's the one who laid me the yellow.
So let's see in like 3 clutches how blue this snake stays. I guarantee it fucking probably turns to be this color all the time. Like I think Marshall, that's what you're kind of getting at, right, Marshall? After a while, they kind of
most of them after. I mean, some of them even after the first pregnancy, but for sure after like 2 or 3. Well, they make it to 3, but for the first 2 for sure they don't change back.
Damn.
You see that a lot with Arus and Sarongs and stuff too.
Yeah.
So
remind me where that snake came from. Like you just got it randomly from somebody, or
local find.
Where?
Local find.
Local find. Oh, okay. And when was the last time you added something like that, like a local find wild caught animal? Has it been a while, or are you still?
Yeah, it was a couple years. It was after I got the house. I could quarantine and everything. Otherwise, it would be a disaster if you don't have a quarantine room and. Yeah. Like even what? Honestly, I'll take it a step further. I didn't even keep those animals in my house, so I kept them at my parents' house, and I would drive every day.
Respect. How long did you do that for?
About a month and a half or 2. It's pretty quick to see if they don't have mites, but still, I mean that would be a nightmare situation to bring something like that back into your household. So. You just have to.
Warren Booth would have said you're about 10 months shy on that. 13 months minimum, Dr. Warren Booth.
13 months.
I'm like, no, but I hate to play with fire, but I'm like Garik. I'm like, I could know pretty fucking well after a couple months if I have a fucking problem, especially after it's been tested and like I see what I see. You know what I'm saying? And before we went live, you and I had a little chat on sound check. Garik, and you know how you have a feeling about something, and Bill and Marshall, have you guys ever got a snake and you knew right away something's probably up with this snake, and then it turned out something was up with that snake, and it just turned out not to fucking thrive? Have any of you guys dealt with that before?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you've kept snakes long enough,
you know what you're looking at.
You get a gut feeling,
right?
But I think the only add-on would be that and I don't want to bring this up, and we're not going to talk about it because I'm tired of talking about it. But NIDO can be there, and it can be there forever, and you never know it. I think that's the one thing that maybe you'd run a NIDO test on an animal, quarantine it for a couple months, and then if it's acting fine and doing well, then I would be done with it. Yeah,
I wouldn't even say NIDO is a clear fucking thing either. Like obviously, see the behavior and also see how it eats and all other sorts of stuff because. NIDO is just one of the many things, right, Garik? Weren't we talking about there's other shit out there you should be worried about that could wipe some shit out, like a lot scarier than NIDO?
NIDO is a fucking joke compared to some of the stuff that's out there.
For real.
It really is. I mean, I went down the rabbit hole recently with like just researching into certain things, and I gotta say, if you look into crypto, you'll want to blow your mind out. I mean, it's impossible to get rid of. It spreads extremely fast. It's like a death sentence. It's not like it is. I mean, and back in the day there was IBD.
And a lot of the stuff is that you're speaking of is absolutely true. But I will just say, and I don't have anything to back this up, I would say though that if you looked at everything in the wild and you looked at everything even in collections today, NIDO is going to be the most prevalent virus. Now, there's other bad things out there that can kill your collection like that, and maybe NIDO is mild compared to them. But the most prevalent virus, at least that we can test for, is going to be nidovirus.
For sure, especially in chondros.
Give it 5 years, there'll be something new too that pops up. I guarantee it.
Maybe right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take one more look at this wild caught pairing. This was the pairing that that gave you the yellows, correct?
So that's the same snake before she turned super
Yeah.
real high blue.
Yeah, she already had like this
See the line.
tealish tone to her or something. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, so it was pretty easy, I guess, for her to just go hormonal. It was pretty insane to see in person, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
First time I actually saw the change happen. You know, I had one snake that was already changed hormonal when I got it. That was a yellow neo, actually. But yeah, this is the first time I saw it happen. Is miraculous.
The male's a Aru? I'm sorry, or what was the male again?
Cyclops.
So Cyclops and the female's a Cyclops too?
No, she's a poultry type, so Monoquari Sarong.
Got you. I like how you say Western to Eastern on the pairing.
Yeah, I mean,
because you don't like you. We talked about this as well. Like a lot of the things that have locality labels to them, they're not really from these areas, and you and I've kind of discussed that a little bit, right?
Yeah, you know, they come from the ports, right? Or they label them with whatever the port was. I think that there was yeah. Every now and then, there's always confusion about it, but you know, I think people also get way too hung up on just the representation of the animal as well. And I think that's also the reverse end of the coin where, oh, if it doesn't look like this, then it's not this locality or from, I guess, the eastern end, or, you know, it's because of some very small detail. And it's very hard to say if you didn't go in the wild and pluck that animal out yourself exactly where it came from. You're just
I think that something that we talked about on, I don't know, one of the recent shows was that we kind of got off track when we started going by locality instead of
Species.
Is it full species? Okay, yeah, species.
Yeah.
And subspecies now.
Right. So I mean, according to Ryan, who I've got no reason to doubt him, he can pick 99 out of 100 and get the right species. Now, like, I couldn't do that, but he says he can. So it seems like nerd. It seems like we got off track when we started calling them by localities, and then that was just kind of more ammo for the people who were I say anti-locality, but it's like, they had a good point, is that this thing really isn't coming from Manokwari or from Wamena or whatever, Bokandini, whatever the localities that they say it is. But I think if you know what you're looking for, it's pretty clear what species it is.
Yeah, that's a good point, Marshall. Absolutely.
I mean, if you go by species, but that'll for sure change again soon. If you ask me, if they go
the next time somebody wants a snake named after them, we'll go find another one.
I'll give them a quick head start. Go check Kofiau. Go check Wamena. Those two haven't been checked, I believe, in Natush's study. I'm sure you'll find enough DNA there to support a separate species if you're using the same model or the same way of figuring it out as Natush did. So.
Right.
I mean, those two haven't been tested for his study, from what I know. So, who knows? Maybe we'll get an additional 2 more. So,
what's with all this locality and species?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, this shit is not even. It's not even relevant to this guy's episode. What are you doing right now? Like, and right now, Ryan's all fucking. Oh, great. We're talking. This is what I'm talking about. He's probably all stoked right now. We're ending this shit right now. Locality, get the fuck out of here. We're done with you tonight. We're getting back to business. Designer talk. No, I'm just kidding. No, what I will say though, for anyone out there who's curious to start their own legacy within this, you do have to kind of look at locality shit, right? Like you do have to find out what base and what foundation you do want to work with. I mean, there's no problem going straight to a fucking build Siegel designer or something from Garik or Marshall. But if you kind of want to start a legacy from the very beginning, you, in a sense, need to get a wild caught or a locality snake, right? Or how would that work?
I was laughing at Ryan's comment. It's pretty funny.
I was able to listen instead of
I think people often forget that any designer line started off with the locality, and especially locality crosses. They seem to forget that very often these crosses can yield some really like extreme shit, even in pure pairings. You know, I mean, what was it? Prada Monoquari produces some of the most extreme design, like, okay, I won't say designer, like blue looking snakes. And that's a pure line of Monoquari. Like, and that's better than 90% of some of the stuff that's out there, you know? It's, I don't know. Yeah,
I disagree a little bit, MJ, where somebody would have to start with a locality animal or species or line or whatever.
Yeah, explain it to me.
I think more importantly, people need to start out with something they're comfortable with. And I think the worst thing a new keeper could do would be to invest a lot of money into a high-end designer animal. I think that they should start with something, I guess something to cut their teeth on and something, make sure they like the animal, they do well with it. And I'm just not a big proponent of throwing potentially big designer money out on your first green tree. So that's where locality crosses often come into play. You can get a quality animal at really a decent price from a good source, and you can have great success with that animal. And then you can just decide, okay, then you get another one and you have great success with that. Those two animals don't have to be the foundation of your projects.
Right.
You know.
Right. But let's be real. Okay, I can't really speak for Marshall because what does Marshall sell chondros to anybody? Nothing. So we can't really relate to him on this one. But you and Garik for sure have definitely sold someone's first chondro that was a high-end snake.
I have for sure, but
100%, but like more than once.
I could count the number of times on one hand that
like just ball python people, because I could count too, and I know people come and celebrate every time they get a snake from you. So I'm like, wow, okay, cool. So I'm just curious, like you probably do that more than you think, Bill. You probably give people's first chondro, their first chondro, where it's like they're spending more than $2,000-3,000.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not going
to. Garik too, right? You could also say that you've done it, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think that when people say your first chondro, you should go for something like necessarily cheaper, or your first breeding, you should try the pairing that you won't care if you mess up the results. I don't think it's like that. I think, you know what, you should be the same with that $1,000 animal as you are with a $5,000 animal. You need to, it's the same exact husbandry. It's the same time that you have to put into it. And honestly, it's the same love that you have to put into it too. I mean, I don't see why that would make too big of a difference. You might as well go for the ones that you like, it doesn't matter if it's locality cross, locality designer, it's something just,
I think nowadays people want the best easy experience they could possibly get, because they listen to a lot of stories of horror stories, chondros this, chondros that, like break your heart. And then you have someone like Bill who's helped a lot of fucking people out and put a lot of people on it. That's probably why they feel comfortable doing it. Because Bill, not that you have time to cater everyone, but you do kind of make sure everyone's in good hands for sure. Like I haven't heard one story of you leaving anyone in the dark. Like, all right, good fucking luck after they spent quite a bit of money with you. You know what I'm saying?
No, dude, I cater to every single person. I try to cater to everybody I can. But
Right.
Certainly somebody that buys an animal from me, if they need it, they get hand holding all through. But the great thing about the animals I release is they're well established,
Right.
rock solid, and you got to really almost try to kill this thing for it not to do well, even if it's your first one. So I can honestly say, I think maybe in all of the years that I've released entries, there may have been one or two animals that didn't do well, and I had to either just died. Sometimes these things die.
Right.
Or I had to bring it back, reestablish it, send it back out. But it is so infrequent. I literally can't think of one right now. But I vet my people, and even if it's their first chondro or it's their 10th, there's some questions asked before it gets sent, and
this guy tried to get a raise. Bill's he's one of the most reputable breeders in the industry. Alex Warren, will you relax, guy?
No, look, now he said not one of the most,
No, yeah,
the most.
Yeah, now he's the little late, buddy. You could have retracted that. Just kidding. Shout to A&W.
Alex, take the day off tomorrow, bud.
No, but okay. So one thing I do want to bring up tonight is because we're talking about people kind of diving into the deep end and spending quite a bit of money on a chondro, and I know this because I've dealt with this. I've taken probably over, I think, 9 chondros this year already from different people. Bill, I got one from Alex Warren, Gary Shavino, just multiple people. And, all these people, like Bill said, established, well, ready to go chondros. But sometimes when you ship them, especially during the wintertime, they're not as robust as they were with the other keeper, right? So I know there's techniques, there's ways to kind of maybe get the chondro to either snap back into it and stuff, because I want to talk about just tips for people out there who run into this and people who get a well-established chondro into their collection, and all of a sudden that well-established chondro just isn't eating anymore. What are some of the things you tell to your customers or anyone out there who runs into that problem? Whoever wants to go first.
You guys want to go first?
Sure, I'll go. The first thing is you got to try to mimic the setup as close as you can.
To the seller, you mean? Like you have to
the seller, yeah.
Right.
Like you don't want to take it. Like what percentage of those people are taking it from a paper towel and a plastic perch and putting it in a bioactive setup? Yeah. So that'd be my first advice. Try to mimic the habitat that it came from as much as possible.
Right. And Bill, what do you have to say? Because Bill, sometimes if you confirm that temps are good, humidity's good, and even if it's not in a same setup as you almost still let them go ahead and do what they want in a sense, right? Like Lucas, shout to Lucas, but his is working great. I think he left his in his focus cube, maybe because it's a focus cube. Shout to focus cube. But how do you like to delegate that, Bill? Like if someone wants to take your neonate that was in a tub and just I have this 2x2 by now, and or like how do you like to delegate that?
Well, with Lucas, it's a great example. We had a backup plan.
Right.
We had a plan B. I said, listen, go ahead and try. I think it's ready for a focus, a small 24 by 24, 12 by 12 by 12. Just their typical cube. I think it's ready for that. I think it'll do fine. But if it's not, then you have to be prepared to put it in a tub setup. So that's what I did with Lucas. And getting back to Marshall's point, I think he's exactly right. Mimic what the breeder has it in. If all your parameters are fine, then the next step is to just relax. Don't overthink it. Don't try to do too much. If these things are well established and they're hardy, they can go a couple months, and without eating, and they're going to be just fine. And then the last thing I would say is if it's not eating after a couple of months, then I say just send it back to me. The last thing I want to hear is the new keeper says, I'm going to start assist feeding it. No, the fuck you're not.
Yeah.
You can send it back to me. It doesn't need to be assist fed. It just needs a change of environment, and I'll kick it back in and get it back to you, and it'll be rock solid.
You need to be assist fed. Send me back my steak.
Yeah. You stop eating so much and send the steak back to me.
Tire kicker. Stop eating, tire kicker.
Tire kickers.
You got free shipping, fucker. No, but that's true. What do you have to say on that, Garik?
Honest, I go on the phone. I review all their husbandry, their temperatures, the humidity, the perches, even down to if there's like a weird smell in the room, how they're keeping it, making sure they're not cross-contaminating or anything. Oftentimes it's just sometimes it takes maybe a couple weeks to assimilate to a new environment. If it's winter and it's a male, that's the absolute worst. Yeah. So I hate shipping in winter, especially males, because you never know. Is it going off feed because it smelled a female? Is it going off feed because of God knows what? But we go over all of that, and then pretty much after, I've established that everything is right, and let's say, or within the parameters of right, Then it comes down to technique, feeding technique. Is your mouse too cold? Is it does it smell a certain way? How are you heating it up? Because if you heat it up directly in the water, maybe it's time to switch it up. Put it in a Ziploc bag, heat it up dry so it retains the smell of the mouse. You know, maybe you're feeding too big, too small, appropriate size. What time are you feeding? You know, there's so many different things that could really make the difference. Right. Oftentimes, yeah, it could even just be the hand movements of so if it's been a while, I'll even FaceTime. Like, okay, let's go. Like, I'm setting aside my evening.
Right.
You know, have a few mice ready. We're just gonna keep going and going. And oftentimes that'll work because you'll see somebody coming in from the top and like smashing it down on their spine.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, is this how? Like, and they go, my other snakes eat it. Like you know, what do you say to that? What do you say when they say my other snakes eat when they're doing it wrong? You know?
No, it's funny you say that because not only does kind of mimicking the same environment as the cellar is important, but even how the cellar technique of feeding is for that snake. Because here's another great example. I got Bill's snake in, amazing fucking eater right off the get-go. So is the one I got from Alex Warren. Gary Shavino had no issues. And then Patrick, I got the second one from Patrick. First one I got from Patrick was great, but I got a second BIAC, and I guess he, I don't know if he told me he was shy. I forget the circumstances, but I realized like, this one is not like, it's not ready to fucking rock like some of these other ones are. And I remember we had Patrick on the show, and he told me that he has a very gentle like approach to feeding. And shit you not, that next feeding trial, I was like, okay, let me nudge it on the lip. And it fucking like slow motion just opened up its mouth. It wasn't a crazy like wham like most of these chondros do it. It was literally like
princess.
Yeah, princess. And I was like, all right, so you just didn't want all the fucking like, you know what I mean? Like it just wanted something hot into its face. Pause. But I was like, all right, that worked. But you just gotta kind of communicate. Like you have to, especially if it's your first time, right? Like you need to have your hand held and make sure that you are doing everything that the person selling you snake was doing. Otherwise, you're just kind of running into some uphill battles right off the bat, you know? So, yeah, just thought it was important to kind of disclose all that because, you know, it's just, even though you're getting it from someone reputable, there's so many things that rely on the person receiving the snake that they got to have shit under control. Obviously, temperatures and all that, but just even your approach. Because, I mean, how many different feeding videos are out there? There's millions of feeding videos out there, and you see a lot of different techniques work, but what has this snake been established off of? What kind of style? Like, and so I think all that stuff matters. Also, daytime, nighttime. I am starting to realize that some snakes rather eat at night versus daytime. Then I have some, like Bill's, that just eat, doesn't matter what time of the day, doesn't matter. So, do any of you guys have funny neonates like that? And Bill, have you noticed any neonates that will only eat during that day and not nighttime? Or is it just all normal for you?
I establish my neonates during the day.
Always, right?
Always during the day. One reason, because I don't like to stay up at night. I don't like to stay up late.
Right.
So I don't want to be out there at 10 or 11 o'clock teeth feeding babies for a couple hours.
But what if you have one that's not taking? Like, let's just say it's like, man, this is the one I really would like to take off, and it's just not eating. Do you try nighttime on that one,
yeah, I'll try nighttime on that one. You know, I may go out at 10 o'clock and try, but I can think of 0 times it made a difference in that particular scenario. You know, it's just a problem feeder, day or night.
Doesn't matter.
I've had the day or night kick them in. You know, one that didn't eat. I normally feed at night just because I'm not here during the day most of the time. Right. So I'll try feeding at dusk or, you know, right as it gets dark. And sometimes if they don't take on the first or second attempt, I'll try like on a Saturday morning. I'll wake up and try feeding them during the day, or, you know, and they'll eat. So I do think that is, and it could just be if you feed all yours during the day, it could just be because they like feeding during the day better. And I'm just having success with the ones that'll eat, you know, day or night.
It's certainly a worthy strategy to try. It's no skin game, right? I mean, it's just a time. Yeah. I think it's certainly worth trying.
What's been your experience, Garik, with it?
Well, for establishing babies, I've honestly had much better experiences establishing them during the day than at night. And like Marshall said, and They really have to fit into your schedule. They have to go with your schedule to make everything easy for them and you. But every now and then, I mean, when you get like some that might refuse because you move them to a new cage or whatever the case might be, yeah, it really does help to switch up the tune. Go in there at nighttime, maybe try a live mouse. I mean, it helps. I had one that went off feed for God knows how long. I was already worried. I tried a live mouse at night, and that did the trick.
I mean, I gotta tell you, if the snake's big enough to take something live, you're not gonna. I mean, if everything's right, that snake's gonna eat something live for sure. If it's live, that's why I love it. If it can handle live, it's not gonna be a problem. And if it doesn't handle live, that's a big problem. You would think like live's an easy usually go to, but sometimes these guys are getting neonates that aren't like, you know, the live is just probably still something that's like a fuzzy mouse and it just doesn't move enough or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
The reverse is much better, honestly. The larger the mouse, the bigger the teeth, the more chance that it might attack your snake back. Honestly, if you give a pinky, it's going to do, let's say, hypothetically, a live pinky, it's going to do no damage to your snake. It doesn't have teeth.
No. Yeah, it doesn't do shit. But sometimes something like that doesn't move enough for a chondro to give a shit, is what I'm saying.
It moves enough. And the temperature, no matter how hot you heat that pinky up or whatever it is, it's never like fully mimicking that live mouse. It never does.
So have you had luck leaving a live pinky overnight?
I've never tried it. The last few clutches I've had, I didn't have any problem feeders.
I want to hear my experience because who wants an update on Mark Hager's gecko feeder fucking yellow neonate that I have? Because I would love to update you guys.
You got it off geckos?
No, it's on its 7th gecko and I'm running out of geckos. It's a problem, okay? But also, like, it hasn't shed yet. Like, I'm not saying it's taken. Like, it's not. I mean, it's eating, and I'm happy for it. But I've also tried to implement a quail or give it something else. It wants nothing to do with nothing else. Still, I even tried putting one of those little werewolf ASFs because it could definitely handle like a day 4-year-old ASF, right? And those kind of hop around, I guess, in a somewhat. I came back and it just had a bunch of fucking bites on its forehead, and just didn't wrap it. I mean, it does things like it bites or strikes, but it just doesn't want nothing to do with anything but a gecko, dude. So
you tried scenting?
Yes, I even had a frozen thawed gecko, thawed it out, opened up the guts, did all that shimmy sham, and it's just nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's something about the movement. It's something about the, like, when that gecko gets alive, like when it like touches that neonate, it just eats it instantly. Like, I've been witnessing like how this goes down every time, and it's crazy.
MJ, have you tried this? This is a technique that I use to try to get baby balls that will only eat mice and not rats, right? I try to get my baby balls females eating rats, and some of them are just strict mice eaters. So what I'll do is I'll take, like, what you could do is take that gecko in a pair of tongs, like in your left hand, take a pinky, tongs in your right hand, and get that snake where it's just about to strike at that gecko, and then do the switch.
Right.
And when it strikes, strike that pink, and see if that works.
So what's crazy though, you would think a live one, he was striking and hitting this live ASF, but just wasn't eating it. Like, it wouldn't wrap it, Yeah. So I mean, I'll definitely try that. I've even tried getting the gecko to see if it would take it off forceps, and it won't even take it off my forceps.
It won't take it off forceps.
No, it won't. No, it won't. It acts like I'm trying to feed it something it doesn't want to eat, even on forceps. So
let me know.
I get frustrated. I go, sorry. I throw the thing in there. I come, don't even have to leave, and it eats it, and it's crazy.
Just off the ground. Gets it off.
Maybe they're escaping.
No, the gecko jumps on the perch. So every time the gecko gets on the perch and literally walks right to the fucking snake's mouth, and the snake just takes it, and it's like, what the fuck? It's great. I'm just gonna video it next time because this yellow neonate becomes a bold snake all of a sudden. And it's like, I could open it right after it wraps and it doesn't drop it. It doesn't panic. It goes down. It acts like, hey, I'm fucking ready to eat anything. But yeah, dude.
Well, Alex says that's typical yellow behavior.
Yeah, typical Ryan Young behavior. Jesus Christ. Fuck. But anyways, I'm still, I'm not giving up. Obviously, I'm happy I have it. The lineage on this snake is like nothing to, even give up on. It's an awesome snake, and I'm curious to see when it's going to turn around and go. I'm going to try those techniques, like you said. I'm just see if it happens, and you know what I mean. But we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Just keep it going, keep it alive. This is quite the experiment we have going.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if you've heard any of the episodes we had, Garik, when we were talking about trying gecko for stubborn feeders, and you know, kind of just nubbing the stress in the bud, like by just going geckos and not having to waste your time assist feeding and shoving pinkies down his throat. So what do you think of the whole gecko feeding United States captive born and bred, like non-parasite, like parasite-free gecko to a stubborn chondro?
So I'll tell you, because
don't hold back.
For me, even live is a last resort. If you want to know, for me, live is a last resort. If it comes down to the point where I think, like, I want to try a gecko, I would honestly rather get rid of the snake, just give it as a gift to somebody else who's willing to try with it.
Right.
Not that I think, again, there's anything wrong. And again, in the wild, they are eating their, you know, those native lizards and things like that. But those geckos are still eating insects. So what are you guys doing? Are you guys like panic curing the gecko before you give it? I mean,
they're not eating insects.
They're eating their powder.
When it comes to things like that, I'm a scaredy cat. Like my OCD would never allow me to give that a shot. Not that I'm saying it's wrong. Like I said, if it's working, it's working. You know, clearly it's something right. And, you know, chances are you're probably adding more nutrition than, you know, another snake might get, again, in captivity. But for me, just the bacteria alone would be something very frightening, if you want to know. The bacteria, the potential for parasites, again, that would already very much, it would discourage me from trying it. The same way it would discourage me from trying a chick leg or anything like that, because I've seen that these guys, they have sensitive stomachs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, but I will say the bowel movements on this snake, it's like, it's a normal shit. Like, it's actually, it's brown, it's normal, and it's like just a little tiny nugget. It's just not really big, but it's a normal shit, and that's a good sign. I noticed. I was like, okay, you know, it's shitting it normally, but it's like literally on its like 7th gecko, and it hasn't kicked into shed yet. So you would think by now this thing would probably be hopefully going into shed at sometime soon. So I don't know if these but these baby geckos are putting enough in them, which you would think they would have to, because they do in the wild. So I don't know. Or do I have a problematic neonate and just something's up with it and I don't know about it? I don't fucking know. Like, we don't know yet.
You know, I'm not against other people giving these alternative methods a shot. You know, I'm even hard pressed to call them alternative methods, because again, it's part of their natural diet. I don't know if like necessarily they eat geckos in the wild. I mean, you guys might know better than me if, you know, that species is there and everything. And I'm sure there are ways around the parasites, like that food Repashy gives and things like that. Just for me personally, like I said, I'm
you're not wasting your time doing that.
I'm very, like because even the way I see it, if it's a hereditary thing too, where, you know, this snake is like really into lizards, I don't want to breed into that, you know, too much. Yeah. If it has some blood.
So not only do you hate locality snakes, you hate natural diets for snakes, is what you're saying. I'm just kidding.
Say I even yellow neos, I don't hate them, and that's me not even being politically correct. I really don't hate them. I just, for me, they're not my thing. Same way with these lizards. They're just not my thing. I mean, the way I see it is I want snakes that portray all the characteristics that I would like to breed. So if there's a chance, let's say their taste preference is hereditary, especially being that I'm starting a lot of these things from a pretty like fresh bloodline. You know, I don't want to introduce things like that early on, even a potential for bacteria. And yeah, rodents have that too, but they're for the most part frozen thawed, and I guess every now and then, yeah, we toss in alive, but still.
I love to play the what if game, and so Garik, are you saying that if you hatched out the most insane neo you have ever seen in your life,
ever
red, just this red freak, you wouldn't go to extended measures to keep it alive?
No, I wouldn't. In fact, I'm
Let me ask you one more time, okay? Let me say you have about 12 of these, okay? And none of them want nothing to do with anything as far as a rodent. What are you gonna do with them?
They're gifts.
Who's
They're
gonna
Give them to me, brother.
I want them
As
too.
long as you guys pay for the shipping, they're gifts. I give them to.
Slow down, Bill. Slow down. I was first. Slow down. Can you please put my name down? I'm just kidding. Hey, man, it's real. I mean, so all right. So you basically ship off snakes that don't feed for you.
Yeah, I mean, again, one or two rejected meals at the beginning is not. It does not constitute.
No, we're talking.
Yeah,
2
like
months.
it's
2 months.
Like I mean, it has to be really shy. It has to just not take to pinkies. It has to not take to chick down. It has to not take to like a bump in the heat, maybe a higher like part of the rack, because sometimes that really does make a difference when you change it from like the middle of the rack to the top.
Yeah.
If it's still not going, it's been a couple months, and you know, even a peaky head, like it won't strike. It's a gift.
Well,
I mean,
I can't wait.
it's.
Well, I will say, like, you know, the gift. I have had more than a handful of animals that have acted exactly like that, Garik, and I've put them in a box and I've sent them to somebody. Most recently, my friend Buddy, and they all eat for him immediately.
Yeah, same.
Oh, that's all it takes.
Yeah, so I would maybe you consider, instead of doing gifting them, maybe sending them to somebody that you trust and say, hey, maybe we can work something out if this animal eats for you.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's not a bad idea, but you know, I give them as a gift to like a lot of the people who have already purchased a lot from me.
Right.
And the way I see it, if they're even if the move alone is enough to get them to eat, if it's something that they're doing, maybe it's an altitude thing, so be it. Even better, let them have a snake that thrives there that they got for free. Either way, they remember me later down the line, you know, and they enjoy that snake.
Bill, either way, look at the man's chair. He's not concerned.
Well, I mean, there's enough in that clutch, let's say, that are really eating strong, and I haven't had this issue in like, I want to say like 5 clutches. The last like
Awesome.
4 or 5 clutches, they've been all perfect.
I was going to ask you when have you dealt with this? Like, when was the last time? And you're telling me it's been 5 clutches, bro. That's fucking.
No, there's a few. I gave one to a good friend of mine, Steve Fleming. I gave one to Tyler Harford. I gave one to my girlfriend. That's actually a funny story. It was the first snake I produced. It was a chocolatey snake. That thing wouldn't eat for me, and then eventually it ate one, and then it kept like doing like hours and hours of just refusing. It was the worst thing ever. I give it to her. It kind of starts eating every now and then after some convincing, and then it starts doing the same shit for her at 2 years old. But it had somehow made it to 300 grams or something like that, 350. It was very small for its age compared to like the siblings, but that's still a decent size. She was just not having it. She asked if I wanted it back. I said no. I'm not spending 2 hours once a week on trying to get this snake to eat. So she lists it up and she puts the description on there. She says, listen, this snake isn't eating, you know, best offer takes it. You know, it's her snake. She could do what she wants. Doug makes it. Doug, I can't pronounce his last name. Ashläger.
Doug? Oh yeah, Doug. Yeah, from Facebook. I know Doug.
He makes his offer. She accepts. She sends it over. Not one fucking rejected meal.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be happier. That snake is now full-grown, adult-sized female. You know, showing like every Highland trait that there could be, and he's gonna breed it successfully. All it took, I don't know what it was, the altitude, the shipping, maybe it was the scent that the mice carry. But you know what? If that's what it's gonna take for that snake to survive, I don't care. Like
watch it be feeding live.
Yeah, like it's even better.
It's a good saying.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, when it comes down to you though, Garik, as far as your feet, like overall, like what's the size of your females you have breeding? Do you want to say they're all close to 1,000 grams or over 1,000 grams?
With wild cuts, I don't pay nearly as much attention. as like, you know, it could be like 900 grams. I mean, I think one time with Violet, I bred her and she was, I think, close to 900. That was probably the least I've ever bred, but typically they're over 1,000. They're like 1,000 to 1,005. 1,005 being the one Biak that just, the thing is massive.
And you believe in feeding rats to your females, right? Or correct me if I'm wrong. I forget what your method is as far as dieting with your chondros.
So I'm not against breeding rats, even to males. I just typically don't do it because, one, they're again higher in fat and they have a lot of hair and like thick, coarse hair. And typically, if in captivity they're eating every 2 weeks, that's already that's a good diet. You know, they're getting good nutrition. So that's kind of what I do, is everything every 2 weeks gets a jumbo mouse. And then during breeding season, occasionally I'll toss in rats for a female.
And then at what point of the year do you stop giving them rats?
I don't give it throughout the year. I just give it typically in during the breeding season, and maybe at the end of the breeding season, I might like reward a male with it, especially if it's like my males go off feed. So, you know, sometimes instead of just having to go get a live, I'd much rather just give an appropriate sized rat, and you know, usually that might make a difference. It might get them going a little bit better.
I think what I meant to say was, like, if you have a female, you're pairing up, right? And let's just say she's being paired, there's even locks, and you might have thrown her a rat because she's being bred, but then she doesn't go for you, right? At what point do you like revert back to just mice or something like that? Like, I mean, because you have females that don't go for you, right? I mean, there are that ratio where 1 or 2, or are your girls going for you every year?
Well, no, they don't, not all my girls go for me every year, but for the ones that do, they always end up giving, whether or not it's fertile clutch or slugs, they're gonna give me eggs.
Right.
I mean, but usually I supplement their diet with that when they're breeding. So I don't like consistently go with rat. It's, oh, they took a dump, they can get a rat, that kind of thing. And that's typically, you know, depending on which feeding cycle you're gonna take. You know, are you gonna breed them when you're fasting them, or are you going to breed them when you're pumping them? Again, there's no right or wrong way to cycle them, but you know, if that's typically when they're getting it, during that pump.
You have a shut-off time of the year with food, or no? Like, is there a time of the year you're not feeding at all?
I mean, no, but typically after they lay eggs, I don't want to, like, I mean, I know a lot of people right away go back into rats or into like a schedule if they want it to be back to back, but right after they lay, I actually go very light on the meals as to avoid cycling them too early. So they'll go pretty light and they'll slowly like go back into their every 2 week regime. So that kind of thing.
Someone break that down to me. Cycling too early. So like, meaning like they could go into like follicle building right off the bat, like, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So there are recorded cases of people, like, especially back in the day, where they tossed in a male almost immediately after like the female lays eggs, and because I guess she didn't sit on those eggs or anything like that, and because they pumped her with food, she was able to form follicles once again.
Whoa.
Yeah, and one time, actually, I'm pretty sure I made that mistake of cycling. It was year 2020, right after my female laid. I thought maybe if I got her back on track, she would be ready to go the following year. So I kind of went a little bit harder with the food. And that year, there was no interest on my male. Like, he just didn't show any sign of interest. And she got very chunky. Like, she got, by the time that it was winter where I pair, she got very chunky around the same times that she literally, for the past 4 pairings, has gone within a couple. She has ovulated within a couple weeks of one another. And that year, nothing. And I surmise that it must be because I cycled her too early.
Huh.
There was nothing else that I could think of. I mean, and
what part of the country are you in, Garik?
He's over here with me. He's in LA.
Oh, okay.
I'm in LA. So, I mean, typically that female went for me like every single January, from mid to ends January to the beginning of February. Even in a back-to-back scenario, even when I gave 2 years off, she ovulated around those times, or she went off feed. Sorry, I have to go check the charts, but it was almost consistent like clockwork. That was the 1 year she didn't. And I mean, I keep very meticulous notes on everything. You know, I used to make them into charts to see. I saw that year right after she laid eggs, she got a lot more calories than she did any other time. I mean, what else would you guys make of it? You know?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm curious with Bill and Marshall how you guys pick up your females after they lay the clutch. Like, what's your guys' regiment? While you know, after Garik just said his, and then yeah, your thoughts on it as well. I can hear you guys. I'll be right back.
Go ahead, Marshall.
I'm usually on the every other year plan. So unless a female just really bounces back quickly, I don't plan on breeding her for 2 years. So I take it slow. I take the feeding slow across the board, really, with the chondros and the emeralds both. So yeah, I don't.
And I agree. I think it's good. You know, after they lay, you know, start them back slow. There's no rush. I'll make the decision if they're going to go back to back.
Yeah.
Later in the year, you know, much later. I assume they're not going to go back to back, so I feed them slowly. And sometimes they'll tell me later, you know, 4 months, 5 months later, hey, I'm putting my size back on. I'm eating regularly.
Yeah.
Be ready to go. But Garik, I've experienced what you described, you know, on more than one occasion about where everything seems right. You know, that female, maybe you even rested her for a year, and she's been like clockwork, man. Just every year she goes off feed at this time, she ovulates at this time, and she lays babies. And then 1 year you do everything the same, and even if she pairs, she just doesn't, for whatever reason it is, whether it's caloric intake or some factors we don't understand, she just doesn't go. You know, that's why we have these talks every week about green trees. You know, there's still a lot of mysteries about them that we don't understand, and certainly don't have them dialed in by any means, even those of us with quite a bit of experience. And so, you know, maybe it's caloric intake, maybe it's just something we don't understand yet.
Yeah. And to address Marshall too, when I do a back-to-back, I usually give it a couple years at least before I'll breed her again too. So I do agree, it is typically much better to wait on it, you know, give it a year off or
right,
all of that.
So and then, but I know. Oh wait, go ahead, Marshall.
I was going to say I have brought them back to back, you know, a number of times, and sometimes they do fine. Sometimes not. I think it's, you know, generally better to give them more time off in between, though.
Yeah.
Bill, did you say the female you had is like the longest streak on back to back? I think it was 4 clutches in a row, right?
No. Well, she produced Biscuit produced 3 clutches in 4 years. That's about the heaviest I've ever bred a female.
Is she breeding this year?
You know, it's interesting. She's one of the ones I think you said you could hear. I was telling Garik that Biscuit and Jaeger have been a thing. They have produced 4 clutches together. They've been like clockwork. I gave her off last year. I did everything I've always done with her and Jaeger, and she was off last year, prime condition. They immediately paired when I introduced them. I thought this is just going to be another typical year. She hasn't done shit.
Whoa.
So, you know, I have no idea what it is. You know, she's locked, but she just continues to eat. She won't go off food. And obviously she hasn't ovulated. And by this time in her normal routine, hell, she's about to lay eggs. So
is there gonna be a time where you don't feed her as much then? Are you gonna like cycle her, or what's your game plan as far as
I already did cycle her. I cycled her in the winter. You know, I did my typical food cycling, light cycling, heat, you know, temperature cycling. And, you know, I know this animal better than any other animal in my room because she's been so consistent. But
Yeah, I wonder by you skipping a year if that just threw some stuff off on her, though. You know, like maybe maybe she needs to be fasting a little bit more or something. Who knows?
It's very possible skipping a year, but I just couldn't. 4 out of 5 years, it just seemed like that could would be excessive. So I thought I'd do the right thing, the smart thing, and rest her a year. And maybe it screwed up her cycle. Maybe I don't know. I'm going to ultrasound her. Alex and I are going to ultrasound her next week and kind of see where she is.
Because where is she at typically with how she's been going? Like, so typically, where would she be at?
Normally, she should be gravid and close to laying eggs.
So she should be able to like pre-lay shed, is what you're saying? Yeah,
she should be close to laying eggs.
Okay, and I do know. I mean, I don't know about you, Garik, but I know with my ball pythons, and maybe I think one other chondro, I've gotten stuff later than the year before. Not too much later, but I'm talking like a month or so later. What has been your experience, Garik? Is everything right on schedule every time, or do you notice sometimes it goes a little bit later or earlier? What's been your experience with that?
It's a shit show.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
You just described breeding chondros in a nutshell.
It really is. Yeah, like you get one textbook clutch and you're like, I got this in a bag. The next one, they just no pre-lay shed. This thing is banging on the tub. It's a shit show. You can't really just say like this is what to expect and it's going to be this 100%. It never goes textbook.
That's facts.
There's always something.
That's why there's not 50,000 of them on one market, right? That's what I say all the time.
The pairing that you guys saw, like the one I just showed you with the wild caughts, I come home and I see like I was gone for a day and it was pretty early. I see she laid one egg, a semi-fertile egg, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, and it's pretty like calcified too. It's dried. I'm like, she definitely laid this hours ago. So I close it up. I wait like a few hours, nothing. Next day, nothing. Like I was like, are you kidding me? Like, did she go egg bound? I took her out. I looked at her. She looks fine. She's not too dehydrated or anything like that. No, I wait another day, and by some miracle, she lays that rest of the clutch. But it was like 2 days after releasing an egg. More, actually.
Did the first egg hatch?
No, I got to it.
She didn't want that egg. That's a good sign.
I got to it late. It was already cold. I put it in and I see it's like wet. I'm just like, it's not even worth bothering with it. I tossed it. Like it was like semi-yellow, where it's like,
yeah, it's like a weird, it's an off-white color.
It's white, like there was veins in there, but then it's just the first day it started going bad. I was like, there's no point in keeping this.
Have you ever gotten an egg that the shell was super, super thin? Like I'm talking like so thin that you could just tear it if you really wanted to. And
it's terrible.
Yeah, that was the one only good egg I got from this girl who slugged out. And it didn't make it. Yeah, it was just it just looked like it never dried right. Like it just looked like it was so fucking thin and just fragile and just like
wasn't calcified.
Yeah, it wasn't calcified. It looked like a balloon. Like it was like I could pop it like nothing,
Yeah. Too much in either direction is bad, though. I mean, I've had calcified eggs that are like way too strong that in the last 10 days when they start drying out, they're almost like a danger to the snake inside because they're sharp and indented.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, I went through my first oviduct prolapse or whatever with the female who gave me slugs. Like she ended up having 4 more in her that she didn't shit out until 2 months later. And luckily, the only reason why she shit them out because she ate, thankfully. And if she wouldn't have ate, I don't. She probably would have died with those snakes in her or with those eggs in her. But then also too, how many people have you known, like Mark? I think Mark Hager actually made a story on this where his female retained, I think 2 eggs or 1 egg, and naturally just discharged it at one point, and it was this one little big hard fucking whatever, So I think naturally, there's not much you can do. You just let it do its thing. You guys would say, right? Like. Or I mean, what do you do, Marshall or Bill?
I've got an Amazon tree boa right now that she had a babe. She had a litter a year ago. It was over a year ago now, January of 23. And over the last, she went off feed for a while. Kind of wasn't acting right. I was wondering, like, is she gonna make it? Like, what's going on? And in the last I don't know, the last 3 or 4 months, she started back feeding again. And over the last, I don't know, 6 weeks, she's shit out 2 like mummified baby Amazons that have been inside her for over a year now.
Damn.
And they're not, like when they come out, they don't stink like you would think, like dead animal smell. They don't smell like death. They just it's amazing that that's been inside of her for a year plus, essentially rotting, and or I guess not rotting. I don't know. But that she's been able to not die from that.
That's crazy. Because they're live birth too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that would be a horrific scene right there, but wow. And she's fine? Mother's fine afterwards?
I mean, she's fine now. She's been eating. She's back on food again. She, like I said, she went through a probably 4 or 5 month period. I'd have to look at her records to see how long she went without eating. But ever since she started eating again, I guess it got things moving. And like I said, she let one out probably about a month ago, and then she let another one out maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
You gonna breed her again?
Oh yeah, I'll breed her again.
Fuck yeah, she's pairing right now, Garik. What are you talking about?
No, I'm gonna give her the year off probably this year, but yeah, I'll breed her again.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, no, I agree.
And it's funny, guys. Garik. Funny thing you say as far as like having curveballs thrown at you, which I think are fucked up. When a chondro doesn't give you a prelay shed, that is not cool, man. And I had the same snake do it twice back to back. I will tell you, I was more prepared this time. I was like, I'm pretty sure she might do that again. But I mean, I wish there was an explanation behind that, but there really isn't. It's like, it's just really weird. And she has not shed since. She's had maybe 3 mils since she laid her clutch. And she's a finicky eater right now, but she hasn't shed ever since. I don't know what's going on with her. She's kind of the snake I'm waiting to come in and just expecting, a Marshall assessment on her, aka.
Yeah, the same thing with me too. That one female who never gave me a prelay shed when I bred her the next year, or the next time, she didn't give me a prelay shed that time either. So who knows? It's probably not that big a deal. Most people go by mid-body swell anyway. So
yeah, if you catch it.
Yeah, unless you didn't catch it, in which case you're just
then you're fucked.
Yeah.
I've never once had a female lay without a prelay shed. It's kind of crazy because it seems like it's not that uncommon.
Yeah, it's not. I've had it a couple times.
Yeah,
several times.
But you've been at it for what, a few decades now.
Yeah, it's never happened.
Wow.
It's like it's kind of like Patrick. Patrick's never had a baby prolapse.
What?
That's cap. Patrick's fucking. I don't know what kind of resume he's trying to build, but that's fucking bullshit.
I can't explain it. I have them every year almost. It seems like.
And prolapses, I feel like you've not talked much about prolapses because you don't experience a lot of prolapses, do you, Garik?
No, I don't. I had one baby that died, and then it prolapsed. If that makes sense, like it loosened up and boom, gone. But no, I never. I mean, oh wait, I've had one that during the move. It wasn't a baby though. It was a subadult female, massive, beautiful. It had like lots of blue too. Things got crazy during escrow, and I guess they didn't take very well. That one specifically didn't take well to the move. It tried taking a dump, and I guess maybe it wasn't hydrated enough, and
prolapsed.
It prolapsed. I took it to the vet. I had asked them just to insert it. Don't try taking out any of the feces or anything like that, because it wasn't just a prolapse. This thing prolapsed with, I think, the colon or something. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
They had all the right tools, but I guess they don't. Sometimes you get a vet that doesn't like listening too much to the clients, and she just, first thing, she tried doing surgery on it to remove the feces. It tears. She has no way of sewing it back up. It's Halloween night too. I'm stuck in traffic there, and it was a goner. That's a death sentence, pretty much.
Yeah, you're supposed to squeeze that shit out, bro.
Yeah, it was the saddest thing ever. And then
It happens though.
it happens, but that's been my experience for the most part. I think there are a few factors that can play into it. Like I know we talked about that during the December podcast, if you recall, Bill. But once again, if it's not like a genetic problem, you know, you can avoid it just by feeding appropriate sizes, you know, giving good water, you know, like keeping it clean, just things like that. Just decent husbandry will probably prevent it. So.
And for the record, why don't you just state how you like to keep your neos again? I forget if it's super damp paper towel or over water, and then the temps. Can you remind everyone?
Well, the first couple weeks that they're born, I think we soak that cage like with as much mist as possible until they shed. When they shed, they go into like the exact same style that we do anything else. Just dry for the most part, spray if you want them to defecate or if they're going through a shed. But for the most part, it's a pretty simple setup. You know, I leave like less than a 1/8 inch gap on top of the tubs, like in the rack. And no, there are no holes drilled on the side. That's more than enough ventilation where if you're going to spray the snake, it's not going to dry out immediately.
Right.
You know, it'll take like a day. And I think that's the humidity level that you should keep it at, because I don't know what % that is.
So you do no holes. You just have the crack on the top is all the ventilation you give it.
And there's actually one thing I forgot to add with the prolapse conversation. There are baby prolapses that are not real prolapses that I'm sure everybody has experienced too.
Tell me more.
Where they take like a dump and maybe like a speck gets on the end of their bowel, I want to say.
Right.
And so they try rubbing it off, because sometimes you get babies that are very messy shitters, or they like to like really just move out their anus. I don't know what the correct term is for this thing. They like to move it out a little bit, and sometimes it gets messy. So they try like wiping it on the perch or the
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's not a real prolapse when you see that. If you spray it and it cleans, they bring it in themselves, and that's that. So a real prolapse is when it like comes out, you know?
Yeah, it looks like a blister. It looks terrible.
Yeah, like a blister.
Yeah. It looks like it's impossible that thing ever going back in. I'll never forget my first prolapse, and I'm sure Bill was one of the first people I called for sure. And I was like, this is impossible. I was like, this thing's not going back in. I remember Sock was so like, I talked to him, and he was like, oh yeah, like you got to put it, like he wasn't explaining to me, like he told me the sugar thing, right? Sock just told me to put it back in. And I thought, you're fucking crazy. I was like, there's no putting this thing back in. It is impossible. But the damn sugar, it was a sugar technique that once that thing shrunk and it actually went back, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that thing got to the point where it shrunk again and it basically put itself back in. But they all died. They never lived. None of them lived.
And the stories be like,
yeah. But I've even seen, Marshall has even done the technique, and I know other people have. I've even done myself, but even putting a Band-Aid there.
oh yeah.
And Marshall, the last time you've had to do that no good luck with that, right?
No, I've had good luck in the past. It kind of depends on. It seems like there's different kinds of prolapses. I've had them before where they're either dehydrated or whatever the case may be, but the shit gets like turned perpendicular to the gut. So it when they're trying to, when it comes out, I don't know what that would be like. You're like Garik was saying, I guess their bowel or lower intestine, whatever it is, comes outside the vent, and the shit gets turned, 90 degrees from the track, and then they can't get it out, and then they can't get the gut back in. So I've had it to where, I'll just get in there, and you can feel that there's a super hard turd in there, and you just kind of manipulate it very gently and get it aligned again, and then it just comes right out. And sometimes they'll just suck the prolapse back in. And then other times, like mainly with babies, that type of prolapse seems to happen more with bigger animals, but babies, they'll just they'll prolapse and it'll be like a bubble gum, like a piece of bubble gum sticking out, and there'll be nothing inside of it,
Like a bubble, just like a big
Yeah.
bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, production-wise this year, Garik, how many females are you looking like you're going to be pairing up?
So this pairing, well, I got 18 from. It looks like they've all made it. I mean, they all look good. The next pairing was my Chronos Angel pairing. I slugged out. I really informed. That was terrible.
How many slugs?
19.
Damn. Holy shit.
I came home 3 a.m. I was drinking with friends and everything, and I come and I see she's laying eggs and there's slugs, and I like to harvest mine real quick, so I put an alarm for 3 hours into my sleep to wake up, and I wake up to 19 slugs with the world's biggest headache and ear. Now I have to go take care of this and then shower afterwards. And that was a good surprise. 2024 going strong. My next pairing is Kronos' little brother, which is 3.5 years old. I'm breeding him to Siren, which is pretty much a female I've used in the past to produce some beautiful stuff. She's a red Jaya type. She just had her pre-lay shed today, actually. So within a week or two, she should lay. And then I'm trying a new Womaniac pairing, same male, Blue Moon, which is 18 or 19 now, with a new female. And this one's very melanistic, shows no signs of blue or teal, but is showing lots of like black and dusting and a very thick golden yellow kind of rich undertone to her thing, belly.
Nice.
So that one just went off feed.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I might try one other snake, but so far that's what the roster is looking
Is that
like.
what, 5? Is that 5 that I counted?
3, and potentially one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you go all like if you see signs with any female throughout the year, you like to pair, or is there a time of the year where you're not pairing at all? Like you have a season basically?
Yeah, no. If it's a first-time female, I might want to keep her going for a while to see when she ovulates, especially when or when the breeding starts taking place. Because I do have females that typically go within, let's say, like a couple weeks of one another. I have two that seem to take sometime in late April, May. I have a couple that take in December, January, February, and then a couple others that I'm not too sure yet because it's been like spread out. So my opinion is, the best time to start is early January for, again, I'm in the West Coast and I have a certain way of cycling, so I can't make a definitive statement, but I like to start mine in January. But if it's a new female, I'll give it a shot early on, like maybe late October or November, and typically it really helps to have raised the female because you'll see them have follicle growth throughout the years. At the year, even as early as the age of 2, I see females start developing follicles, 2, 3, 4. And if it's consistent, like every year in November, I'm going to start pairing sometime in early October for that female.
So you're saying a first-time female, you'll go even earlier and later for sure.
Yeah, I'd rather go earlier than later. I mean,
so you can figure them out.
Yeah, 'cause I don't want to be in a scenario where like what happened where I slug out. I'd rather have them start earlier. Collect that good sperm in them, so that way when they're close to it, they have good reserves. And typically, I don't like to alternate anymore as much until the male is done with a specific female. Something I've done in the past, but the more time goes on, the less hands-on my approach becomes, and I've noticed much better success with that. So,
how many clutches did your female lay? The one that slugged out recently?
That was a first-time female. She was
first time.
Almost 5.
And what do you like? What do you think about it? Like, are you like looking at anything as far as what maybe caused that at all, or is it just like fucking you throw your hands in the air and on to the next year? What do you like to chalk it up to?
it's impossible to say because you never know. Like, is the sperm cooked? Did she ovulate too early? It's just impossible to say. But I will say that, I mean, I'm going to try it again in the following year because if they gave a clutch of slugs, they didn't deplete their resources nearly as much as they would have if it would have been a perfect clutch.
Yeah.
So I'll try again the next year. I'll let you know, but there's no way to know what happened. You know, maybe I pulled him out too early, maybe, but then again, she wasn't letting him breed anymore, so I didn't think it was worth keeping him in there. There's no way to know.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times that's the best answer, Garik. There's just no way to know.
Yeah. I mean, why beat yourself up for something that already happened? Just
Well, because you want answers, goddammit.
yeah, but if the same approach is working for
Others,
4 out of 5 chondros, you know, I don't think you're gonna be inclined to switch it up just that easily. You know.
Yeah. And your ratio is usually solid, right, when it comes to pairing, or do you have multiple like male to female type pairings going on, like, you know, as far as like one male to more girls, like, or is it usually 1-on-1 for the year?
You know, most people might want a 1-to-3 ratio, 1 male, 3 females. I think an ideal scenario is a 1-to-1 or 1-to-2. You know, the less you can alternate, I would say, the better off you are for it. There's a lot more viable sperm available, you know, to your females. You stress your males out less. And then on top of that, it's a much better long-term strategy because you have a bunch of different pairings that have happened, if that makes sense, than if you just had 1-to-3. You're going to have a lot more diversity, and I love my diversity. So
yeah. And Bill and Marshall, how do you guys delegate, you know, one male to multiple females, especially if it's like a really powerful male? What do you like to game plan that with? Or let's go first.
I'll just switch them around. So I'll put them with one female if I notice a copulation. Separate them, move.
Next one.
Yeah, move them to the next one and just keep rotating them.
Same with you, Bill?
Yeah, same thing. And I think Garik's right. I think really 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 is ideal. I've done as many as 1 male to 3 different females. I've had success doing that. But I really think ultimately 1-to-1 or 1-to-2. That's why, you know, I think, you know, I love the males. You know, I mean, I think a lot of people worry about getting male heavy in their collection. I'm really not one of those. I love males. You know, they tend to, first of all, they tend to look better than females. You know, they tend to display the traits that you're breeding for more consistently than the females. And you know, I just love that 1-to-1. They'll have 1-to-1, or if a male's not compatible, not breeding a female, man, I love to have that male that will throw in to another female. And a lot of times, you know, in that pair will be done. So I think it's really, you know, unlike Marshall's other Endeavor ball pythons, you know, where it's very easy to become male heavy very quickly. I don't think that's the case with green trees.
Yeah, oh, definitely not. Man, hurt for males. I mean, but I guess it doesn't hurt to have a lot of females either, right? So
yeah,
it comes down to it's a numbers game, you know.
It really is. Oh, for sure.
You gotta have both. Gotta have a lot of numbers of both.
Yeah, numbers is your friend when it comes to this shit.
Yeah.
But you know, Marshall, first and foremost, I know this has kind of been your first year as far as like getting chondro pairings on the docket and whatnot. I know you have 2 clutches in the incubator right now, right?
Yeah.
And what has been the update from anything other than that so far? As far as any other females looking like they're off food or anything looking like it's going to be going the
No, I saw one of my males cruising a week or 2 ago, and I've been trying to switch them around different cages to see if anything happens, but nobody seems interested. So that may be it for green trees for the year. We'll see.
I'm pretty bummed too because I got my 2 males. Like, one male's already got the job done and he's eating. Like, he even shed. I gave him a 2-week break, and I'm putting with other females. Got a lot of females, and he don't want shit to do with them. Like I put him with 3 different girls after the girl that he's already gone the distance with, but he's like, nah, like it's like he's over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I have another male who only wants to breed to this one BAC, which is I'm fine with, and they're still breeding, but she keeps eating. You know, he could just be one of those fucking good breeder males who just loves to fucking tap it. You know, but she just won't stop eating. So it's like kind of fucking aggravating. But it is what it is. You know, it's crazy though. Numbers is on your side, huh, Bill? You got more males at it. You know, you don't have to worry about this shit.
Yeah, you know, I would rather have 10 pairs and do everything wrong than have 1 pair and do everything right.
Hey, what's up with Phoenix? I know you posted Phoenix on your account not too long ago. Where's that snake in the lineup as far as breeding goes?
She's going next year.
She's going next year.
And she's getting bred to Gemini, that blue male with the yellow diamonds. But
so this is a female right here.
She's the female I told actually she's the female I told you guys about that early on, where she stopped eating randomly and I didn't know what to do. You know, she went like 8 months almost no more without 8.5 without eating.
Wow.
Yeah, some of her blue actually reduced down to like what the color you see there. She was really like popping like blue before. Maybe it could be OCC, maybe not, but eventually I had tried live, I had tried whatever, nothing was working. And then even when she's hunting at nighttime, and she was hunting the last few months like at nighttime but still not taking anything.
Crazy.
I don't know if it was the smell of the mice that I was giving. I don't know if it could even be the smell of the water that, like when the faucet water touches the mouse. Sometimes they won't want to eat that if they don't like the smell of the water, if they're being prissy already. Yeah, she started eating. She's had a few live now, so she's turned into a monster. You know, she's slapping the glass trying to eat every time I walk by.
How old was she, Garik, when she turned off food?
She was 2.5, but she was pretty chunky. She was.
So you think she had like a wall in a sense? Like maybe she just was like, I'm not in the mood for food because I'm too good, or what?
You know, it could have been. I've heard of scenarios where ball pythons go on what's called 1,000-gram strike or something.
Yeah. Right.
And she was a pretty big baby, like, and then she was a big yearling. She was over 200 grams, and then she was. Again, big around the time she stopped eating too. She was 2.5, and she was probably 770. She trimmed down to like 670 actually by the end of it. But I don't know if it's necessarily that, like her regulating her own body weight. I thought somewhere along the way, honestly, I thought it was a bacteria. Wow. And I'm still sticking with that. I think sometimes the way we heat up mice can really like rapidly and exponentially increase the bacteria growth in the mouse itself.
Do you think the hot water could do something to it?
Yeah, if you heat it up too fast, you're really quickly also heating up the bacteria too. If you heat it up too slow, you're heating it up. It could be that. It could be something in the water. You know, I have no fucking clue. But I'll tell you this: around month 8, 7, I started getting panicky. Like, I even did the cardinal sin of taking her outside to soak in some sunlight for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I tried her with, what did the trick? I tried her with Flagyl.
Oh, you hit her with Flagyl? How much? How many?
I'm like, okay, like the reason why I didn't at first was I assumed maybe if it is 1,000-gram strike and she's trying to regulate her weight, maybe it's not a good idea to try something that's so taxing on the liver. So I waited and tried every other method, like rats, live, nighttime, like extremely hot. I dressed up like in a Halloween costume pretty much, where none of my body heat shows. That didn't work. Month 8, I give it Flagyl. 3 days later, she takes a live mouse. Like, there has to be something to say about that. And, I think oftentimes, well, there you go. If we're introducing bacteria always without even knowing it, and in a moment of stress, like again, it could be a move, it could be something, that bacteria in her belly or wherever it might be can grow, and it can take over the immune system, or maybe just something as simple as an upset tummy can cause them to go on a strike this long, which is, again, what I assume happened, because it's been a couple mice now and she's solid.
Garik, all that, and you won't even give a gecko to a baby Neo? They won't eat?
Oh shit.
You know what? If anything, this story is enough for you guys.
The damn garb where you can't sense your thermal pattern, all that shit. And
Garik, technically you should send that snake either me or Bill. I'm just saying.
Take that snake.
You know, I have very big plans for that snake. It was the
Bitchin' snake.
first time I actually inbred a snake. You know, like I did a mother to son pairing.
Right.
And this thing came out like exactly the way I hoped. It was beautiful. You know, it was everything I wanted. And that's the male I'm gonna pair him with.
This guy's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
that one has no inbreeding to it.
Wow. Hey, listen, it's that time. We're gonna get a wrap-up question for you, Garik. I'll go first, and then Bill or Marshall will go next. But I mean, just looking at your page, which is just something I like to do therapeutically. It's just a dreamy ass fucking foundation of what blue chondros could take you in this world someday. But what's your game plan, man? I mean, you have so many different levels of blue chondros at this point. And we're looking at, for instance, Phoenix, right? And then we're looking at the Gemini. But what's your overall goal? Like, when you look at the most perfect blue chondro that you can make after everything you've already made, what is it? Like, what are you shooting for?
Continuation, honestly.
Give me more.
Well, to continue producing like similar blue tones and colors, but more so for the process to get faster. That's why sometimes you kind of don't get so bothered when you let go of a snake that turns blue at like 2.5 or 3 years old, because you kind of prefer the ones that are going to go blue at much sooner, at 1 year old. Even if it's a true blue transition, if it's going faster and faster every generation, it's going to make your whole backpicking process easier. So that's one of the ultimate goals. And I guess the way I'm doing it is essentially like this. I have a few founder animals. So at first, the point is to breed it out to different females from different, again, unrelated. And then to start like doing little mixes and matches, like where you're doing a little bit of inbreeding, but you're also doing it classy enough that you're still adding in a lot of the genetic diversity they need. And then eventually, that was the point of breeding the wild caughts is, they might not be nearly as nice as if I bred Chronos to that female, but you know what? 10 years down the line, I'm going to need them. When I do Gemini back to Phoenix, let's say, and it's half sibling to half sibling, but even a little closer than that, I'm going to want to breed that out to something that's absolutely unrelated to that, but that I hope will be compatible, that won't take away from, I guess, the genes. And that's where the Highland stuff kicks in, because typically we see that true blue color, and especially the true blue color that's potent, from Highland types.
Right. But a snake like this, though, respectfully kind of changes up the whole playing field when it comes to a lot of the stuff that you produced, right? Like the yellow in this snake is like, whoa, what the fuck? So how much is the yellow important to you? Like,
not at all.
It's not important.
My favorite look is green diamonds, if you guys want to know the truth. A blue snake with green diamonds that's killer for me. So I can acknowledge it. It's beautiful. I love the yellow diamonds, but green diamonds or lime green diamonds on a blue snake is, for me, it's like,
So how much you want for this piece of junk? I'm just kidding.
Well, maybe if it stops eating, it'll be a gift.
Oh my God! You heard it here. Woo!
Right. Maybe it'll stop eating.
Please don't stop. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's a fucking amazing animal. Everything you have going on is amazing. I love talking about your projects. But who wants to go next? Rapid question for Garik, Bill, or Marshall?
Go ahead.
Well, because I brought up the the importance of males in your collection. Right now, if you could introduce an incredible locality animal into your collection, or whatever, an adult, would it be a male or a female?
This is it. Give me a couple minutes. I'm going to answer this question because I actually like that a lot. It would definitely be a female right now. Well, I have a few solid males, and I would absolutely love a very like killer female. And I've had this theory I don't know if it's accurate. It might be horseshit for all I know. But, in other species, when you see hybrid animals, and I mean, these are different species, let's say, and they're crosses, sure. But let's take other species, like let's take a lion and a tiger. It makes a difference which one the female is, right? Typically, if the female is a tiger, that the baby from that cross, I think it's called a Tian, it's born looking a lot more like a tiger, and whereas if it's a liger, it looks a lot more like a lion. And you see that in other species too, like donkeys and mules and dogs even. You can keep going on. But
Carpentros.
I think potentially a reason for certain pairings to show a reduced potency is because that the male is the extreme one, and typically they'll breed it to whichever female is willing to accept it.
Sure.
I think if you get a power female in there, I think there is a very strong possibility your potency is going to be much better. I mean, to have them resemble the female a lot more. For again a majority. I don't know. It could all be horseshit, but if I had to pick, that would be the basis on why I would pick a female right now, because I have a few pretty stellar males that I know would get that job done.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I alluded it to earlier that a lot of these animals that we look at, really the extreme phenotype occurs in the males. So when you get an extreme phenotype in a female, it's much more rare. It's like, when you see just two like designer animals and both of them are just absolutely crazy, it's pretty rare.
Actually, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I don't agree with that. Like, probably not even in the slightest. I don't think males are necessarily nicer. Specific lines have a tendency to produce more males, and when you get a larger kind of pool going, it's much easier to find something that's very nice in it.
You think that some lines produce more males than females?
Absolutely. I mean, it could be coincidence, maybe not. I don't know, but I mean, a lot of the nicest stuff I've produced have been females, and for the most part, a lot of the Wamena related clutches have been pretty female heavy. Again, it's a larger pool to choose from, so chances are a nicer snake is going to come from the females than the males. I think the way we're looking at things might be a little bit too much in the box, not nearly as much outside of it.
I've never heard the theory that there are certain green tree lines that can produce males over females or females over males.
If the banana morph can do it in ball pythons, then we can. It's possible, I guess.
That's not necessarily the case. I'm just saying I would probably attribute more extreme males from clutches like that, just the fact alone that, let's say they might have produced a clutch that has more males in it than females. Again, it's all happenstance, it's all coincidence. Like, there's no way to truly prove that.
Anecdotal. What is that word, bro? Say it. It's fucking all. It's
anecdotal.
There we go.
Anecdotal. It's all based on it's all based on yours and others' experience.
Yeah. Well, Marshall.
Garik, so you have only blue chondros. Do you have any aspirations of keeping anything else? Any other species that are interesting, even if they're like, blue tree monitors, blue dart frogs? Any other species that you're interested in besides chondros?
There are many species I'm interested in besides them, but I wouldn't keep them. I'm obsessed with these guys, and no, not all of them are blue, but I mean, the ultimate goal is to have a solid blue collection, sure, but there are looks within the chondros that, I can definitely appreciate. There are lines completely unrelated to mine, and, that I can appreciate, and I can truly love the way they look. And as far as other species goes, I think Bolin's, Amazon basins, the Amazon boas too. That the one you were telling me the story about. Sometimes those are wicked. They're beautiful. But even northern emeralds, I want to say I like them just as much as I do basins.
Hell yeah! Wow, I love that. Yeah.
I mean, there's some
Or
really
you know what Marshall does and just put them together.
yeah.
I mean, do it with chondros. What's the difference?
Amen, brother. I like them.
Yeah, those blue vipers that they have. I mean,
Polaris. Yeah.
Mexican black king snakes are awesome. You know, there was another one that was the Mende. Shoot. It's like black and yellow with it has rear fanged.
Mangrove cat snake.
Yeah, Dendrophilia or Boiga.
Gorgeous.
Boiga. Yeah, I used to have a group.
Yeah. I mean, I can appreciate them all, but I think I'm good on the chondros. I can never manage a very, very large collection like that. I have pretty poor time management. So,
I mean, let's be real. When you have something as nice as you do, Garik, the only thing that's gonna fuck it up is adding another species that either is gonna reek up the room. Colubrids fucking stink first and foremost.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like, I don't know. Like, and you okay, Bill and Marshall. We all keep other species. But have you ever thought about what if we just walked into a room and all we had was chondros? Like, what a world that would be. You know what I mean?
That's what I get when I walk in my facility, MJ.
And listen, we all like Bill's. He's bred some awesome other short tails, ball pythons.
Yeah.
Marshall, but come on, guys, like a room with just chondros. That sounds so luxurious to me. Like
that's what I started with.
It's just a headache. Just like imagine not having to worry about a ball python rack ever again or anything else but chondros. That sounds like the perfect retirement plan for me. It really does.
With the shit show they are, I don't know. It's not as perfect as you think. I mean,
sounds a little boring, to be honest.
I like my diversity, man.
I like my monochromatic style.
I think it all depends what you have, but either way, this is a great episode.
Great, they really are, and I guess it's a very fulfilling and very achieving feeling to do right by them and to get clutches and to raise them successfully. It really is great. I mean, I love every second of it, even when I hate it.
It's about hate, bro. Either way, it's like you're drawn to it, and once you're sucked in, you ain't ever getting out of it. I'll tell you that much.
I'm already planning for 15 years from now. So
you just got to have tough skin. That's it, man.
Yeah, you got to check the emotions at the door, man. Your heart can't live in this shit. You're gonna get demolished. You can't take shit personal. But great episode tonight, Garik. You dropped some heat, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Just had around 80-ish people tapped in on tonight's show. So what do you have to say to all the love and support and just everyone out there who's rooting for you, bro?
Thank you guys so much for showing up. I'm a big fan of the trap, and it was an honor to come on a podcast with all three of you guys again. Well, Marshall for the first time, that was an honor. And I had a lot of fun.
Likewise.
Hopefully,
man.
Gets too offended at even the jokes or anything like that, or the theories. We
lost Ryan a long time ago. Don't even worry about it. Yeah. Anyway. No, but no, you're the man, Garik. Keep killing it, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I gotta come check out your place soon. We still gotta. Hey, how's your elbow, dude?
It's working again. It hurts, but I'm going to the gym pretty much 2 out of 3 days. So
all right, good for you.
Back on track. So.
All right, well, good to have you. And of course, please go follow Garik. Are you more active on Instagram or Facebook? You would say
Instagram. I'm starting to kind of
transfer
here. Yeah.
All right. The House of Blue. All right. Go give him a follow. His link in the description below and go check him out. But have a good night, Garik. Please.
Thanks so much. Lots of love. Lots of love.
Give it up for Garik. House of Blue. It's a wrap.
See you, Garik.
Thank you, Garik. Thank you, Bill.
Later, dude. Talk to you soon. Great episode, man. What'd you think? What'd you think, Marshall? First time meeting Garik and kind of tapping into his stuff. What was your overall assessment tonight?
Interesting, man. He's got his little niche carved out, and I like that he's got kind of like that he's got tunnel vision, for it.
He's very locked.
Yeah, not. I mean, it's not for me, but I mean, don't get me wrong, his animals are incredible. I like a little more diversity, but I can appreciate somebody being just, locked in and focused on the one thing.
Yeah. I mean, if the one thing it's a pretty heavy one thing he's locked in on, let's, respectfully, but what do you have to say, Bill?
I like Garik. I think he's real. I think he, is produced some banger shit.
For sure.
I think he's a good keeper. I think he's a good guy. I like the fact that he's not afraid to just say, no, I think you're fucking completely wrong.
Yeah.
I that has not been my experience at all. I like those conversations. Those are the things that keep us thinking and keep this and keep it going. So I like it.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's like everyone's experience is what matters, and when you have stuff going on that you're very solid and confident about, and you could tell he obsesses over the shit that he does. So you're not really afraid to speak what your experience is, because it only helps. Information nowadays, right now, is kind of what is key to the Chondro community, is passing all this shit down.
Well, since we can't have really any kind of controlled studies in this game, right? What we have to go on is other people's experience. Yep. So when, I say something like, in my experience, the males have phenotypically been superior, to the females, by far. And most of the people that I've talked to have reiterated that, or at least agreed to it. And then get somebody to say, well, listen, no, in my experience, it's the opposite. That the females are the peacocks. They're the red cardinals of the species. Then gets me to rethink my position.
Yeah. Well, either way, experience is the best teacher, and it's cool to see him so locked in and passionate about what he's doing. And great episode, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you, Marshall. Appreciate you, Bill.
Yeah.
Guys, do me a favor. Go give Marshall Mendez, Red Mountain Herbs, a follow on Instagram. Of course, the mayor of Chondro Town, Bill Stiegel, Phoenix Reptiles. Appreciate you guys both. Had a great time, but enjoy the rest of your night, man. Give it up.
Don't forget the Reptiles Talk, May 17th, 19th.
Yes.
See you there.
See you there. Give it up for my
See
team.
you guys.
Right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man. See you guys later. Peace. All right. That's it for this week's All in the Tree Tuesday. Great episode. Shout out to Garik holding it down for sure, man. Excited to see what he has in store for this year and the following years to go. But go give a follow for sure if you're into designer chondros and some of the probably best blue designer chondros being produced in this country right now. Go give him a follow, man. Garik, House of Blues. And, of course, go follow my boys, Marshall Mendez, Red Mountain Herbs, and Phoenix Reptiles, Built the Mayor. But appreciate everyone in the live chats. Appreciate everyone who tapped in tonight. Don't forget, if you're looking for exclusive content, first link in the description below. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family for all exclusive shit. Patreon members, you guys are my heart. Love you guys. Tomorrow, Cush's Corner, episode 3. Go show love for Stephen Cush's new podcast under Trap Talk Network. He's bringing on Patrick Holmes. Yes, Patrick Holmes. Fucking Trap Talk whore, man. I love it. He's been on Trap Talk a lot lately. But he's going to be tapping in this Wednesday, tomorrow, with Stephen Cush for this episode 3 of Cush's Corner. So go check it out. From what I understand, they're going to be tapping in heavily on scrubs and venomous snakes. All right, so looking forward to that. And then Thursday night, Trap Talk with MJ. Don't be slipping on it. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. You'll be reminded. Coolest reptile podcast in the world. Episode 466. It's a wrap. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.